Alright, so welcome back, friends. This is your channel Coding and Programming, and I'm your host Hilal. And today we are going to see how do we make a snake game in Java. So let's get started. Alright, so I'm using the IDE called IntelliJ. Well, you can use any one, your favorite. Either it could be Eclipse or VS Code. Okay, so make sure that you have got Java installed in your system, and also it's in your environment variable so that when we try to run it, it will work. Alright, so let's go and create a new project. We're going to use here Maven, and I'm going to use JDK 17. Well, you can use version lower than 17, but I would suggest to use at least 11. That would be better. So let's give it a name. I'm going to give it as Snake Classic. Well, you can give any name you like, or you can continue with the same name. Alright, so this is creating a project. Since it's a Maven project, so IntelliJ has already built a pom.xml file for us, which we are not going to see now. We are going to see that later. Alright, so it's taking a bit of time. Okay, so let's close that tab, and let's go and then create a I think so. We should first create a. Alright, so let's create a package first. Okay, and let's give it a name called org.game.snake, and let's create a class here and give it a name called game. Okay, so first thing first, let's create a instant variable called width, and this is going to store the width of the region where the snake can move. Basically, you can say it's a box width, and similarly we would be storing the height of the width. Okay, alright, so the next thing that we need to do here is to actually create a constructor and then allow these values to be passed to the constructor. Okay, the next thing that we will be doing here is going to create a array list of type snake body. Well, snake body is a class that would be storing the coordinates of snakes body parts. Well, it just has got only x and y coordinate in it. So let's go say that snake body. Okay, and then alright, the next thing that would be there would be the keyboard input. The keyboard input is another class that would be responsible for taking the input entered by the player from the keyboard. So, well, these classes aren't created now, so we would be creating in few minutes. So you shouldn't be worrying about it. Right, so let's go and create this class. So first create snake body. Okay, Alt Enter, I think this is the shortcut key for this thing. Right, so in the snake body we would be having the coordinates for the snake body, or snake's, you can even say it has the snake position. So first what would be x and y coordinate, and let's have the constructor where would be passing x and y there. Alright, so this would only be there in this class and nothing more than that. Okay, now let's kind of move on to the next part, which is the keyboard input. So we would be creating a class called keyboard, and so Alt Enter, yeah, that's the right key. Okay, now this is the class called keyboard input, and this is going to be, okay, we'll be coming to it later on, so we should not be discussing about this now. Alright, so now let's move to the next part. Okay, now the next thing, okay, first I'm just comfortable with it, that's what I'm doing it. Okay, okay, so now I would be creating something called as okay, so what's the next thing? Okay, so the position of food, and which is the x position of the food, and the y position of the food. The next thing is going to be the snake length, which is initially assumed to be 3. Alright, so next thing we'll be doing here is the game. It's a flag variable, you can say it's the game running or not. So it's the call game running, which is going to be responsible for telling whether the game is running or it has stopped. Let us move that thing down. Okay, now next thing is to actually create a main function, I think so. So main class first, which will have main function at. So I'm just going to say public static void main, and okay, so that would be the main function. Okay, from here we would be invoking the game, basically we would be calling the game class. Okay, now let's move on. Alright, so we'll now be introducing something called as the the key, and it would be called as the direction. So key is going to be an enum, which is going to store something called as the direction. So initially key has something called as the direction, which is the right direction. So initially we assume that the snake is going to move in right direction. So let's create this thing. So right, so we'd be calling it this as, I think so I named it as uppercase, so let's change that first. Okay, so it would have right, left, up, down, and a space key. Well, these keys are the keys of the keyboard in which we are interested. Rest of the keys we are not going to support, so until unless these keys are pressed, we wouldn't be responding. So far so good. Let's move on to the next thing. Alright, so going back to snake game actually, and now you can see that this is working with no errors. Alright, so the next thing is basically trying to actually draw something on the screen. So let's go and create a method called draw. Okay, so well, I think so we should be creating start first, I think so, yeah. So start, well, the start method actually is going to start the game. And initially we're assuming the snake length to be 3, so we want it to be filled with something called as okay, so we're going to be filling the snake array list with snake body, okay, of type snake body. So we're going to be say snake.add, and we'll be saying like new snake, and then its vertices x and y. Snake body, and here would be assuming we are just considering the snake initially to be at the half of the width and half of the height. Well, it's just a position which is not fixed, and it is just, you can say, the default position of the snake when the games begin. Okay, so we're going to be just doing rest of the thing also in a similar way, because we just need that 3 position of the array list is filled. That's why this was added. Okay, now the next thing is to actually so now I would be adding the position of the food. So let's write food x. Well, this food x is going to be the x position of the food, and it would be a random value. So what I'm doing here is just choosing any random value along the width, and then subtracting, actually not taking along the width but less around like 3 less than the width, and then adding 2 to it. This almost gives you the food always in between your box, rather than like the food is somewhere else. The next thing is the y coordinate for the food. So it would be almost the same, only the difference is that in place of width we would be adding the height. So similarly, we would be just converting it into integer and then copying it and then pasting and changing the width to height. Alright, so this would be the position of our food. Okay, now let's draw something on the screen. So now just create a function. Okay, so I would be naming it as draw. So alright, let's go and draw. Okay, now let's create this method. It's Alt Enter. Yeah, I'm just forgetting every time. Okay, so let's draw now. So it would just be like would be just making first a for loop. So the upper loop would be running like around I think so, yeah, it would be running around the height, and the second loop is going to be kind of running around the height. So like would be width and then the height. Okay, so let's make a for loop first. Okay, I just make box. Okay, I'm changing this to var. After that, make a for loop. And just begins from 0, and it would be ending at the width. Sorry, ending at the height. And the next loop would be ending at the width. So, and then like let's just print something so that we can, I mean, this is just going to print a simple box for us and nothing more than that. So let us choose a good character which would be just displayed on the console screen. So I'm just choosing here a character called, maybe just a square. You can say it's an ASCII square. So like I mean, you can even say an ASCII rectangle. Okay, so just it's a normal text. You can just say it's the shape of rectangle. Okay, now just change the line after that. So since after running the second or the first loop we want line to be changed, so I'm writing println. Alright, so I think so this is good here. Let's go to the main function and try to call the game class. So I'm going to just copy some code here. I mean, it's pretty simple. Well, I'm going to explain it. Don't worry about that. Okay, copy and okay, so now paste it. Alright, so here the x and the y coordinates would be the coordinates of, which we can even say that it would be the width and the height of the box which we are asking the user to put. And after that just going to call the game class here and then calling the start method. Okay, so I think so this will just let us see something. Okay, so let's create a jar file. I think so, because trying to see it here wouldn't be that interesting. I think so. I mean, I can, but I mean, I want things to start from a console screen only. So let's go in create a jar file. So I've already made a video doing how to make a jar file, so you can just go and see that and follow that step. I'm going to explain. It's pretty simple, and like the IDE does the most of the job. You need to just click few buttons and that's done. So the IDE is already has a terminal in it, but I'm not going to use that because it's not a real terminal, and I mean, for allowing or for able to just run this game properly, you need a real terminal, otherwise it would not work. So like, have to open command prompt and then invoke the jar file or call the jar file. So waiting for this to be created, it will just take few seconds. Alright, so it's done. Let's just go and look at it. It is in the out directory of your project. And right, so let me have a look on. Okay, so I'm just going to copy the path so that I'm opening it first, and I'll copy the path. Let's open the command prompt, and so let's copy the path of the jar file here, otherwise the command prompt will not know from where you try to call it. Let's paste it, and okay, now I'm just going to call java -jar and the name of the jar file. And at the end you have to write .jar. Alright, so just this is working. That's pretty good, but in the we don't want this. It is just printing a square for us. You can even set a rectangle for us, which is like around 50 into 30. But we want that marked space to be like blank so that the snake can move in it. Alright, so like, let's go and kind of do that. I think so. That would be much more better. Okay, so let's add some conditions here. So I'm gonna add a condition like, if the value of I is 0, or the value of height I is equal height, or the value of j is equal 0, or the value of j is equal width, or the value of I and j are respectively equal to food x and food y, then we would be printing on the screen. Otherwise we would be printing a blank space. Well, doing this will let us actually draw a box in which we would be able to see the food and the region in which we have defined the box. So only the mark of the box would be seen, like the outermost part of the box, we can say. It would be like a rectangle, which is like it's hollow from between, just a rectangle line. Alright, so then define something called food, and would be a ASCII value. So I'm just adding a string which is an ASCII rectangle, you can say. In the similar way, we would be adding for wall, which will be the wall of the box. It's just like a wall, you can say. It's just at the end. Okay, now the next condition we will say, like, if j is equal the okay, so j is equal food x, and I is equal food y, then we would be adding the food. Okay, or else we would be adding the wall. Okay, well, I think so we could have easily remove this condition and just add append to it. Now the next thing I'm going to add here is a snake. I'm going to pass j and I there. So let's create this method snake part. Okay, so first we are telling the body is like this, and then we will say box.append the body. Well, here the is snake part will let us actually know whether or like is the value of ing, which is like where the snake is present. Okay, so now the else condition will be like a space, you can say, like we don't want, so it would just be blank. Okay, now this actually this function this loop will let us draw a box every time and a snake in it and a food in it, and is snake will actually allow the snake to be drawn within the box wherever it is. Okay, so let's go ahead create the snake part function. It's going to return a boolean value, so either it can be a snake part or not a snake part. So the check is pretty simple, like if the x value of the snake is equal the snakes, if any part actually, if it matches, then that would be done. So I'm just going to return this. So I'm going to say snake dot, I'm going to use the stream API here, so string dot stream dot all match. So if all the it's if any match, so if any of the position within the snake is matching the I and the j value, and if I say I, the x should actually match the j, and the I should be matching with y. So like I should be matching with y. So I'm just putting snake dot X and I should be matching with Y. So here what it does, that it just moves around the snake array list, and if it just finds any of the I or J matches with the snake X and Y, then it just returns true, and at that point snake body of the snake is drawn. Alright, so let's have a look if let's go and build the let's go and build the file. So I'm going to put here 50 and 30. Oh, we're not getting anything. I think so we are doing some mistake. Let's have a look at the code. Alright, so I think so the first mistake, okay, I'm not getting it. Maybe okay, so yeah, one of them is like we are not printing the yeah, so one of them is like we're not changing the line. Yeah, maybe, but I don't think so that's the problem. There's something else. We're not getting anything on the screen. Okay, now I got it. The time we're not actually even printing the box. So just now, I think so this would not be the bug. Let's build it. Okay, now let's go and try to run it. I'm gonna put here 15, 30. Oh, we're just getting one part of the box. Alright, so there is some problem. Okay, I'm not getting it where it is actually. Alright, maybe it's okay. Yeah, we're not actually providing a proper space. I think so. I did a mistake here. Like we should have given like box.append and like a space has to be there. Let's build it and check. Okay, 50 and 30. Oh shit, what's the problem? Let's have a look. Okay, I mean, it seems almost fine. Where is the fault? I think so. Oh. See, we didn't put an equal sign here. Okay. It's a pretty minute error. I mean, anyone can miss it. Alright, so I think so now we will get the right answer. Alright, let's have a look. Perfect, that's really cool. So now as you can see that we are able to draw a box and a food and a snake. But now the next thing is that we want it to actually kind of move. Alright, so for moving the snake, we're going to create a while loop, and it's just going to be a infinite while loop because we want a game to continue until the user exited. And we're checking if the game is running, then we're gonna be first changing a line, so we just give a extra space above, and then I'm gonna call message. Wait a minute, first let's create a message. So message is a function which is going to create which will be kind of printing something for us. So message will kind of print for us any message we want to be printed on the screen wherever we desire actually. So it would just be returning a string type, and this is gonna actually be called as message. And then I'm going to say like the first input is going to be of type string, and here first of all I'm saying that you have to actually enter start with, which means like from where you want to actually start the starting word of the line. Then the length, so like for example, what is the region, you can say like where you want to define the length actually, so within the region. And then this the second thing is the position, so where do you want it, and the third thing is with what you want to end it actually. So I'm going to use here, since it is Java 17, so I'm going to use switch expressions, and we're going to pass the position, where position actually pos class is an enum which has got left right in it. So I'm going to say if it is left and right, and by the way this is switch expression, so these things now work in Java also. Earlier it used to work in Kotlin and other languages, now Java 2 has this feature and you don't even need to use break. So we say like start with, and then like we want a space and we want to repeat that space until length minus the snake length, sorry, the snake width dot length. So if anything start with something, we wanted that to be subtracted from here, and then want to actually give that much spaces only, and then actually we will kind of add. Okay, so we will kind of subtract with and with also. So if a line has got like 3 messages to be printed with some space in between, then this will be kind of working. So we're going to be saying minus n width dot length, which you can even put a blank space also, and then it would be just like only a single character, single sentence, or that would be printed. And if you want the line or any text to be in center, well, if this position is in center, basically what we're going to be doing is almost everything would be same, only that n width would just be divided by 2. So like, okay, I'm gonna go up and okay, just look at the pause class first in here. So it has got only left, right, and center, and nothing more than that. Okay, now let's go to system.println and call the message method. So first of all, we wanted to start with a blank space, so we don't want, and we wanted length to be defined within the half length of the width, and we want it to be it's okay, so we want the position to be in the center, and we don't want it to be, we want it to end with snake classics. Okay, well, this will bring this end thing to the center. Okay, and now we will call the draw function here. Okay, just changing the line first and then calling the draw function, and then we will be printing like the high score and the length. Okay, so now we don't want to start with nothing, we wanted to actually show the score here. Well, score is a other member of this class which is actually storing the score of the game. The second parameter is the width, and we're going to be just adding extra one to it, and then we wanted the end width to be at the right, and the end width will have like it should actually end with snake length. Alright, so now they would be able to see something on the screen. Okay, now the next thing that we want is that the whenever the game runs, it will just print this thing. But we want to actually clean the screen and then like keep on printing it again and again, like showing some kind of animation. So it's actually not an animation, but it gives you an illusion of animation. So I'm just making an else call here, because it is good, because if the game is not running, we have to you have to do something. We'll be coming to this later. First of all, let's actually call the thread.sleep method, which means like this will just sleep, like at the main thread will kind of like sleep for some time. Okay, now first of all, I'm calling the clean method. We'll just clean the screen, and before that I'm gonna call thread.sleep, and now I'm just passing 300 milliseconds here. Yeah, okay. Let's create CLS. CLS is just a function which will just allow us to clean the terminal after 300 milliseconds. Well, this will just give you as, like, you can say kind of an animation illusion, like something, because if something changes in 3 milliseconds, you wouldn't be able to create difference between the first frame and the second frame, and kind of give you a feeling that literally the snake is moving, but the snake doesn't move. It just like frames, like in the first frame, like the snake is at one position and then it's at another position. Okay, so we're going to say new process builder, and I'm going to be passing cmd and then passing cls. Well, this is specific for Windows, and if you're on Linux, then use the clear command. Okay, so I'm going to be saying dot wait for inward.io dot start dot wait for. Okay, so we need try catch for this. So alright, so now I think so we would be kind of able to see something. Okay, now since that function has to, now we have to add try catch here also. So just collapsing it. Okay, now we would be able to see something like a kind of snake, the game frames changing every 300 milliseconds. So let's build it and then kind of run. So similarly, we'll be saying java minus jar and the jar file name. Alright, so I'm going to just put here any value. Let's put so okay, now yeah, so let's put some issues happening. Maybe the jar isn't made properly. Yeah, okay, let's try it once more. Oh, my numlock was closed. Okay, 15. Alright, so that's working, and you can just see the flickering, which means every 300 millisecond the screen is actually cleaning it up. It gives you a kind of illusion that this thing just stays, but this just cleans after 3 milliseconds. Okay, so now I'm going to be writing the keyboard input part here in this. Now, so let's go to the keyboard input.java class. Well, it is going to deal with the keyboard key entered by the player. So, alright, so first of all, we need some kind of dependency in Java for actually doing a keyboard input thing. So there are like around 3 dependencies. One is Jline, another is JNA, which is Java Native Access, and using both of them we would be able to access the keyboard input by the user. So let's go and copy the Maven dependency, and that's what I was using Maven, so that we can allow these dependency injections. Alright, so reload your pom.xml file. By the way, I'm going to paste this in the description so that you can easily get to it. It's not a big deal, just reload this and Maven is going to take care for all of these things. You don't need to worry about it. Alright, so now if you look at the external libraries along with Java, you've got like 2 or 3 other libraries along with it. Okay, now let's move to actually keyboard input, and okay, now in the keyboard input part, first of all, I'm going to create a private key, and this is going to be the right key, I think so, because that would be the default direction. So initially this is going to be the default key for for the keyboard input. Okay, so we're going to be saying key, and this is just the keyboard key, which isn't equal to anything now. Oh yeah, it is equal to right, and this is your like default value, you can say. I don't want it to be along with the constructor. Let's remove it. We want an empty constructor. Now we are going to create a new thread inside it, and like we don't want this thing to be in the main thread, because well, the main thread is actually running the game, so we want it to run in kind of in kind of parallel with the other main thread. So what it actually does is that it actually doesn't run things in parallel, because the CPU kind of switches between the both tasks. So it sometimes runs the main thread, and then for some time it listens the keyboard input, or like this does if any thread just behaves in the similar way. So it's kind of parallelism is a different concept. You can say this is concurrent, which is like two things running simultaneously. So that's why I'm introducing a thread, so that this thread actually could keep on listening to the keyboard input continuously while the game is running. So it is going to have a try with resource block here, because when this thing is finished, we don't want it to continuously consume our resource. I'm going to call terminal. Alright, so I think so. Was it terminal or terminal builder? Maybe no. Okay, terminal. Okay, so it's terminal dot terminal equal to terminal okay, so it's terminal builder dot terminal. Okay, so we're gonna call terminal builder class and pass to the terminal interface, and these are not part of Java library, so they are like part of Jline, and you can see in the import IntelliJ actually does an auto import, so we actually do not. Well, I'm gonna call dot start here. Okay, now I'm just going to actually create a infinite loop here, which will actually this will not allow this thread to stop unless the game actually stops. So it's like continuously, if the game is running, we want that the keys should be sent to this class, or it should just keep on listening. So here, what I'm going to do here is that basically we want here to actually like set the keyboard key. Now what actually happens here is that whenever like this thing which is called the terminal reads the keyboard and returns the keys in the we call as the integer ticket. So this actually gives you an integer output, and we want that keys to be sent by us to us, and then like we want that this should be the keys, so that we are calling set key because we want that keys to be the keyboard keys, okay, which we can later on call to actually know what key was pressed. Now get key method actually converts the terminal input into the key types which we have actually created. So get terminal method doesn't actually returns a right, left, or down key, but it just gives you a few numbers. So I'm specific about Windows here also. I'm so sorry, I don't know about Linux. You can just look at the documentation. I've just copied a function, and you can just look at here and say like get key. So like if it is 65, it means like the upper button was pressed. If it is 66, like down button was pressed, and if it's 68, then like right, and then so on. So it's pretty simple. Like I'm not sure about Mac and Windows. You can look at the documentation, or maybe in future I can make a different video for it. I'm not sure. So we're just going to say get keys, and like I'm going to pass the terminal. Okay, so terminal dot reader dot read, I think so. Yeah, it's reader dot read. Alright, so this will let us know the key and will actually set the key, and then we can call the getKey method in the game class using the instance which we have already created in the game, and then can get like any keys up, down, left, or space. Alright, so let's move on to the next thing. Okay, so now let's create a function called movement, and now the movement function is going to actually decide what would be the movement of the snake, or in which direction the snake would move actually from the keys pressed by the player. So we actually listen to the key, and then movement function will actually take actions accordingly. So again, it would not have any parameters, simply movement. Again, our first thing is like it is just going to say keyboard input dot get keyboard keys, and like if it is equal keys dot up, if it is equal key dot up, or sorry, it is and and if the direction is not in down. Now what does this mean? That if the snake is moving up, and if the snake was moving downward initially and someone tries to press the up key, well, you cannot do that because the snake cannot move in the backward direction, so the direction will still be up. Sorry, if it isn't moving in the downward direction, then you can say like the snake can move up. If the snake is moving already, if it isn't moving in the downward direction, and if someone tries to press the up key, well, it can move up. But if the snake is already moving in the up direction, and if the snake is already moving in the down direction, and if someone tries to press the up key, then this would not work because both the condition needs to be correct, and that's why this was added to it, so that the snake actually doesn't hit itself in moving backward. So a similar thing has to be kind of done for like other directions also. So we're just going to copy and paste and change some of the things there. Alright, so now let's copy it and paste. So we'll be pasting it like 4 times because it will be working for all the 4 directions. Now similarly, you'll say like if someone presses down and the key it was not up, well, then it can move down. And if someone presses right and the key was not left, then it can be like now right. Now if it is like left, if it is right, and if it is not left, then this can be right. Okay. All right. So now the next thing is that if this is actually deciding the direction of the snake, basically now we have to decide, like, if whatever the direction is, what we have to do and what we have to change, basically. So that direction is known to us. Now what we're going to do is that we will change the position present inside the snake body, the position present inside the snake body, basically. And doing that will just give us an illusion that the snake is moving, because after every 300 milliseconds we are actually changing the printed box and replacing with a new one. And in the new box, the snake body's coordinate would change, and this will give us a kind of an illusion that the snake is moving. Alright, so now let's move and use this direction to actually change the motion. Okay, so now let's move on. Okay, now let's write switch. So okay, now first what I'm going to do here is that we want to be calling integer stream dot in order. Now what I'm doing here is that if the snake's head is actually moving, the body should also move. So like what actually we would do is that here we wouldn't move the complete snake, we would only move its head, and the rest of the body would just follow it. So what we actually do is that the coordinate of the head actually get passed on to rest of the body. So if the head moves one position ahead, the body which was just behind head actually will move to the position of the head, and then the rest of the body parts will just keep on doing and repeating the same thing. Which means if the head is at 0, we can say like snake head is at 0, and if it moves one position ahead, the body behind will just move at the snake's head position, and then the other part will just which is just behind it will just keep on repeating the process. So what it is basically is a snake dot so we're using for each here. The snake dot get I dot x would be equal to snake dot get I minus 1. So just behind that thing, and this would be for y also. Because changing only x will not give you the complete result. You have to change y also. Okay, so I'm trying to convert it into a for loop, but actually the IDE is not giving any support for that now, but this can easily be done using a for loop also, so not a big thing. Let's move forward. Now let's create a switch. So like what we want here is that, like, if the snake moves to the end of the box, it should just come out the other way, and if it just goes up, it should come out of the other way. So we're going to be passing the switch direction, which is the dir. And we're going to be saying case up, and we would say snake dot get 0, which is its head, and we would just change its y position, because if the up key is pressed, the snake would kind of move in the upward direction, and the rest of the part will move accordingly using the upper loop, which is just present behind this switch, before switch. Now what we are going to do here is that if snake dot get y00 reaches to 0, then it should just come out of the height. So if it just crosses the limit here, this right, the upper one, then they should just come out from behind, from the downward side. So it should, if this becomes 0, we would make dy as the height. So we'll say snake dot get 0 dot y is equal to height. Alright, so now the rest of the case, would be similar to this one only. Okay, now just copy the case. I'm just going to copy the rest of the thing and paste it here. Okay, so let's copy this one and kind of paste it 4 times for all the 4 directions. So if it's down, like we would be changing its y position with ++, and if like its y actually reaches the height, it should come from the upward point, which is at that point y is 0, so we'll be making its y 0. Similarly, if it is left, then we would just change its x and keep on increasing its x. Sorry, keep on increasing and decreasing its x, and if it reaches 0, then they should come out of the width. So the x should reach its width, and if it is right, then the head should keep on increase, and if it reaches the width, then it should go to the starting position, which is the 0. Alright, so now I think so we would now be able to actually get some kind of movement, and basically there would be something that we could definitely see out from this. Alright, so let's actually call this function. I think so we would be calling it before draw function. Exactly, that would be the better position. Now let's build it. Alright, so the same thing, java minus jar.snake.jar. I didn't got the notification. Okay, now this is completed. Okay, now let's enter it. 50 by 30. Oh, I think so there is some problem. And when I'm pressing the up and the down key, I think the snake isn't moving now. So let us go and look at it. There is some problem, I think so. Okay, so the problem was not with the jar file. Actually, what was happening is that I did add something to the pom.xml file, and I just didn't created a new jar file. So the jar file has to be created whenever you upgrade something to the pom.xml file. So now if I'm running it, I can see the snake is moving, and if I press the up key and the down key and the left key and the right key, oh, maybe there is some problem, as we can see that the screen isn't getting cleared up. Let's have a look. Okay, actually clean the screen here. Oh, now I did a mistake here, like okay. Oh, this is happening again. Maybe let's build a new, let's rebuild it. Okay, there is also one problem that I just see here, is that it should be left rather than being right. Okay, now let's go and build the project once more. Okay, let's put 50 and 30, and as you can see that now the game is working properly. If I press the down, keeps moving down. I press the left, keeps moving left. Press the right, keeps moving right. No problem is there. So now the next thing that we would be implementing is that when the snake actually eats something, the score will increase and its length will also increase. Okay. Now we would be adding like if the snake eats the food, and then its length would increase and the points. So I'm adding an if condition. It's checking like if the head actually reaches, if head X reaches the food X as well as the head Y reaches the food Y, then the snake will we will say that the snake has consumed the food, and that is why we would actually increase its length and also its score. So we will say like food X, and similarly the Y coordinate should be equal to food Y. Okay, now if it has actually, if this is true, which means the snake has reached the point where the food is, and what should happen after this now is like okay, so this is actually, I think that this was not in the switch case, so I have to actually take it out from the switch and have to write it outside the switch case. If this is actually true, which means the snake has consumed the food, so what we will do here is that we would call snake dot add, and we will add a new body to the snake. Initially you will give it a 0 position to it, so that's not an issue. And then after that we will be calling something as new food. New food will actually add a new food to the screen. After that we will be increasing the score, so I'm just increasing the score every time by 8, and the length should be increased by 1. Okay, so now let's go and create a function called new food. Well, it will just be giving a random position to the food x and food y. So we'll be writing food x equal to mat.random. It would be similar to the previous thing we did earlier. So it'll be converted into integer because food x is integer. Similarly, we would be doing it for food y. Only the change would be for like the width would be changed to height. Alright, so now the next thing is to actually I think so we'll be able to kind of see something. So now let's exit this presentation mode. Okay, now I'm actually checking something like if head hits the body. Now head hits the body is a function, and we'll see like now like in the head hits body, what we are going to add here is that we are going to like move along the array list, and we will be checking if the array list at any point, like using integer stream dot range, it would be starting from 0 to the size of the snake body. So if the head actually the head ever hits any of the body part of the snake, then like this will just return a true value. So dot any match and here would be passing the predicate as I, would be saying if snake dot get index dot 0 dot x is equal snake dot get I dot x, and it would be similarly we will be able to be doing it for like y also. So if both of them are correct, then it would simply return true and we'll stop the game, because at that point the game would be over. So any match function will basically check for like anything will match within the array list that is present in the array. Okay, so now I think so this is looking quite good. Okay, alright, so now I think so we should exit this presentation mode and kind of build the jar file and kind of test it. Okay, so now let's kind of okay. Now actually what I'm doing here is that I'm actually creating a move method, and then move method, because if the snake will move and score increases, its speed should also increase. So we are not actually going to directly call the movement method. Rather than doing that, would be running till score time divided by 100. So this, if the score is greater than 100, then like if it is like if it is less than 100, then this would be equal 0, and if it is more than 100, then like it would be running like at that many times. So we will be calling if it's more than 100, like if it's 200, then the movement method will just work twice. So that's why it will just increase its speed of the snake. And this thread.sleep method will just add to it, and will just keep on clearing the screen after a regular interval of time. Alright, now we would be introducing something here also. So just copying something and pasting it. So what I'm going to do here is that if the else condition worked, we would be saying the game is over. We would be printing the score, and would be saying like enter the space bar to continue. And thereby we will also be adding something like if the user enters the space key, then the game should just stop. Sorry, the game should just restart itself, and a reset method should be called. Well, in the reset method, we are actually going to reset most of the thing. I'm just going to copy and paste the code. It's pretty simple. So now I'm actually clearing the array list. Then we are just adding all the 3 initial position of the snake. So width, and also the height. After that, we will be setting the initial direction of the snake to right, and the score is 0 and the length is 3. Now let's go and exit it and build the jar file. Okay, now let's enter and put 50 and 30. As you can see, now this is working, and if the snake actually eats the food, well, you can see the score is increasing as well as the length is increasing. Perfect. Now we can move to the sound part. Now in this part, okay, now let's go to the resource and create a directory called arg.game.snake. Now in the next thing that I'm going to do here is to copy two audio files here. One is the sound when the snake eats the food, another when the snake hits its body. So let's paste it. I'm okay. So these two audio files, and they are wave format, so use only wave format. Let's go and create a method called play. And let's pass the parameter called name. It would be the name of the file which need to be played. First I'm going to say the URL, which is equal to game.class.getResource, and then passing the name of the file. This will let us know the URL. Then we are trying to invoke try with resource. We'll say audio input stream, equals to audio system.get input string, and we'll be passing here the URL. So we need to actually add some catch here. Now the next thing is the format. So new audio input stream.get format. Next thing is data line info. Equals to new data line info clip.class comma format. So let's import this class. Now the next thing is audio system.getLine. So we write audio clip. Let's first create the audio clip. And let's cast it into clip. Alright, we'll also adding the catch block. Next thing is audio clip.open, and we'll be passing output audio input stream there. And the next thing is audio clip.start. Alright, so now so the IDE is suggesting we can just convert it into one catch block. Now we can just pass any file here, or that's because if that file URL is null, then this will throw an exception. Now now what we're gonna do here is that we'll be passing different file names at different instance. So if the snake actually eats the food, then we'll be passing the eat file to the play function, and if it's actually hitting its body, then we will be passing the die file to the play function. So first thing, let's go, and so first thing we will be implementing is when the snake actually hit itself. So let's paste. So I'm telling play and then sound/die.wave. So this will be passing the path of the file. Since it's present in the root resource directory, so we don't need to pass the complete path, only sound/die.wave is fine. And when the snake actually eats the food, then we'll be passing play sound/eat.wave. Alright, so I think so this would actually let us play the sound, but make sure that you have the sound file format in the wave format, otherwise it doesn't support MP3 or any other file format. Now let's build it and test whether it's working or not. Alright, so I'm gonna go and open the command prompt here. So as you can see, the game is now functioning properly, and we can press the up key and the snake is going to eat the snake. It's going to eat the... Oh, no, there is some kind of problem. Alright, so Java Langdon on point exception. Oh, I got it. What's happening here is that since we have added 2 new files to this thing, so I think so we need to upgrade the Maven file, or let's do a Maven clean. Maybe let's try with Maven clean. That's so. Or maybe I should try to create a new jar. Let's first do a Maven clean and check. Alright, so this is working. Okay, now let's go and then create a new jar first, because the moment you add new files, the jar is not having that file, and that's why it is not kind of responding to those things. So now let's go and again rebuild it, or build the file once more. Okay, it is taking some time. Alright, now let's go and pass in 50 and 30. Okay, I accidentally put a bigger value, so let's put 50 and 30 once more. Alright, so now you can see the game is now working properly. Once more, let's look for the sound. Alright, now it's also playing the sound also. You can hear the sound is getting played. Oh, the snake actually eats itself. Let's close this one. Okay, let's play it a bit more. This is really flickering a lot. I think so that's because of the computer is actually using a lot of resources, because it is kind of recording and then playing and then running the IDE. I think so that's why it could be flickering a lot. Otherwise you would get a smooth experience. Or just change that sleep value to once more. Since I have changed it to 500, you can again change that to 300 if you want, so that the snake is going to be a bit more faster. Alright, so I think so that's that is sufficient for this video, and I hope so you would have learned how to make a snake game. And I tried my best basically to make it as easy as possible. But if you find something like difficult, okay, you can see like a game over sound also plays. So I mean, I'm telling that if you find it some difficulty in it, then please do leave comment on the comment of YouTube. I would definitely be responding to that. And make sure to subscribe the channel, like the video, press the bell icon, and share with your friends. I mean it just takes a lot of effort to make a video, and a like or a subscribe really helps to make me more videos. So it was really a long video, and I just tried first time making such a long video. So even please do comment about the audio quality or the type of video quality, and keep coding and programming. Thank you very much, friends. Bye bye.